Okay, guys and gals, Jim back here finally with a video. This is a project I started last year, back in about maybe October or something, and I kind of put it off to the side along with a few others. I'm going to be getting back to those and finish them up. I know I showed this to you. Many of you might have been waiting for this, wondering what happened, why I didn't show the finished model, things like that. Am I just showing little bits and pieces of something that's halfway built and not showing a completed model like I normally would? Well, I'm back with this one. I finally finished her up the last couple of days. We had a warm day on Monday, so I went out and cut a bunch of wood up for some bases and did a little bit of work outside and all that. So this is my little pocket scale or box scale, whatever, the Star Destroyer, the Imperial Star Destroyer, the little 4-inch version of it, and the Death Star too. That's the from Bandai. That's the small scale kit. They both come in the same box. You can get them both separately too. And I decided I was going to do a little diorama with it when I bought it. That was my intentions. It's kind of like a little bit of forced perspective. The Death Star being further back in the box that I made for it. It's kind of like a little shadow box type display, and the Star Destroyer being a little closer up front. So that, because the Death Star, it's like I forgot the scales, but it's like about 100 times smaller scale than the Star Destroyer is. The Death Star would be huge. It'd be dwarfing that Star Destroyer big time. Probably about the size of a basketball or bigger. So anyway, this is my model. I built a little enclosure for it, and that base is made out of wood. The rest of it's made out of foam board. Now it's getting kind of dark now, so we're going to show you what I did, because if you remember, I did light the Star Destroyer up with some fibers and the engines and stuff. So let me go back there and pop the switch on, and there's my Star Destroyer. I just did a few fiber optics along the side trench. I didn't glue it down to the post so I could turn it around. I did both sides and all that, and I got the engines flickering, and I'll tell you how I did that and everything. But I got the flickering engines and stuff. They're very, very pale, almost white. But I just tinted them real slightly with some clear blue Tamiya. So, but anyway, that's the Star Destroyer. Now this is all pretty much, once you snap all these pieces up here together, especially here, the bridge, the neck going up to the bridge, it's almost impossible. This is so small, it's almost solid, and all these are, all the different levels here are all different pieces that snap together, and pretty much that's all solid in there. So someday I may try to light on and go a little further up, but to me, I probably wouldn't have been able to keep the kit together, because you got to hog out so much plastic and stuff, and I just wasn't gonna go that far and stuff and that. And then there's the Death Star 2. I left her not glued down permanent on the rod, but she's a nice snug fit. But I wanted to be able to turn around, if somebody wanted to see what it looked like and stuff, and that I can pull it off there if I want, and all that. And what would Star Wars be? What is Star Wars all about? Space battles, the good guys against the bad guys, and explosions. And that's my little attempt at an explosion little type deal. I did it with some fiber fill I picked up at Hobby Lobby and all that, and I pretty much just sprayed a bunch of fiber fill. I sprayed some with some yellow paint, a real light mist coats, and some orange. I rolled it up in a ball, and then I put a bunch of kind of made it like layers. Then I rolled it up in a ball, and I kind of gave it some misting of some flat black, and then I gave it a couple coats of Tester's dull coat to kind of hold it all together. And then what I did, I mounted an LED on the end of a piece of plastic styrene tube, and then glued that over the tube, so the LED's pretty much kind of further to the back of it, but it's sitting in the center and everything. And then I glued it on there with some canopy glue, and all that. And then once I got it on there, I kind of teased it out and everything, you know, because it was, like I said, it was like a little ball. It was almost too perfect and stuff. So then I went and teased it out and stuff, and put a little bit more just plain white fiber fill in the center and stuff to kind of give it a little bit more brightness, because it was actually still showing a hot spot from the LED, and now it's pretty cool and everything. And then all I did, I just took short pieces, maybe an inch and a half pieces of my colored fiber optics, which you can see they're colored fibers, but they don't light up colored. And I know William at Space Stock Modeling, he picked up the same fibers. I think we got them from the same seller on eBay a while back, probably a couple of years ago, and I pointed out to him, and he noticed the same thing and everything. If you hold them all in a bunch and stuff, they show colors, but when you start doing single strands or even use them for filling the windows, I tried some red ones on my Star Destroyer, that build and play one I did a while back last year. The red ones showed up clear, you know, white, so it's like, oh well. But you know, usually when you see an explosion, you see like sparks shooting out of the main explosion and off to the sides in different directions, and I kind of wanted to give it that effect a little bit, and I think it turned out pretty cool and stuff, and all that. And I just wanted to add more interest. If it was just the two ships in the display, it'd be kind of plain looking, so I kind of wanted to fill up that area up there. That's kind of like off in the background, almost a little bit like you might see box art or something, you know. I might poke a few holes. I'm not sure. I got the capability, since this is just foam core. I got the capability. I can poke a few holes in there and maybe just put some small fibers and like little starries kind of background or something if I want. But I'm not sure if I want to do anything. I thought about on this, drilling out the little center on there and sticking a fiber optic and then lighting it up green, because this is the Death Star that's under construction or been destroyed. I'm not a big Star Wars follower, so I like building these kits and everything. They're sci-fi, but you know, I never really followed the movies other than what I consider the first two movies was Star Wars and then The Empire Strikes Back in the late 70s when I was getting out of high school back then. So it gives away my age to everybody that doesn't know much about me. But like I said, I haven't kept up with the franchise. I'm more a Star Trek fan than anything. But that's my little diorama. Nothing fancy in the back. I was gonna. I wanted to do this with a battery because it's only a few LEDs. Well, I had to use two batteries. I got one for the Star Destroyer and then one for the fire. And I got an LED up in the tops, kind of highlighting the Death Star, so to give it a little light shining down on it so you can see it better. That's a little too much for a 9-volt battery. You know, you can get away with maybe 4 or 5 LEDs at the most on a 9-volt, but once you start adding more, they start putting too much of draw on the battery. And I was having problems. My Star Destroyer model was getting real dim, and the flickering LED wasn't flickering like it should. It was just dim. It dimmed everything down real bad. So I went with 2 batteries. I put an on-off switch, that way I don't have to keep unplugging the batteries and everything. As far as the flickering engines, you can see on the bottom of the base, there's a flickering LED in there, and there's some fiber optics going through there. Okay, now something this small, you know, they do make flickering. These are SMDs, the little 08, 05 size SMDs. They're just the cool clear white ones. I know they do make flickering SMDs nowadays. I know HDA sells them. But for something I only needed a few of them, I usually got about 20 of them on hand and stuff. Sometimes I got colored ones and stuff. But for something this small, it wasn't, you know, and it's kind of hard to light it like I did the bigger Star Destroyer, the build and play one that I did, or what they use on the 2700 scale ones. I just hooked SMDs up in there. The 4 smaller engines are just fiber optics. That's what's running down through the base with the wires, and everything. And I'm using the flickering LED basically like a circuit board hooked up to the 3 SMDs. And then the fiber optics running in the tube with the same flickering LED, and that's how I got the small ones to flicker. So, you know, like I say, you can hook up LEDs to, say if you wanted to build a model and just have a couple flashing lights, but you didn't want to go through the expense of buying a circuit board, or maybe you don't have the skill level to mess with circuit boards or something, and say you only got a couple flashing LEDs you want to do, you can actually take a flashing LED and hook up LEDs to it. What you would do is just wire up the positive lead from the plain LEDs that you want to flash. You wire it up, your positive lead from your power source, then take the negative lead from that the flashing LED, or in this case the flickering one, and then you just hook it up to the positive lead to the next LED. You do it in a series, what they call a series circuit. Like when I do my bigger models and I do actually have the capability to put bunches of LEDs inside, I do it in parallel, because parallel circuits, if one LED goes out, the rest are going to keep working. Where you're taking a chance, this is a small model, so it's not a big deal to me. But if you do a series circuit, say in a bigger model with a whole bunch of windows like an Enterprise or something, and you do them in series, if one LED goes out, everything after that LED on the other side of that LED is going to go out. You'll get power from your main power source to that particular LED. But the one that went out, and if it's one of the first few, you're going to lose all your lighting. You know, if it's towards the end, you might lose a few window lights, which is no big deal. But you know, we try to wire everything up in parallel, and you know that's the case. And I have had that in my big refit Enterprise. One section of LED tape went out, but it's wired up in parallel, and I've got enough light coming from other strips of LEDs in the windows on both sides of it where you really don't notice it and stuff. But if it was wired up in series, I would have lost all the lighting in the saucer windows and stuff. And you know, and it's not like I'm going to build another one of those models, and you know, it's pretty time consuming. A lot of work goes into that, and it's not something you want to have to rebuild due to the fact that one light went out and knocked out everything else on you. So, but that's the little starter story. That's how I did the flickering engines and stuff like that. And like I said, you could do the same thing if you wanted flashing lights and that. The rest of these fiber optics in here for the side trenches, I do have a small 1.3 millimeter LED that I managed to fit in there and just run the fibers to that. So all I got is the 4 fibers running down the tube from the four little engines in the back. So but that's my little diorama. I thought it turned out pretty cool. These are fun little kits to build and stuff. I glue them together because they're permanent and stuff and all that, but they're basically, Bandai makes them. They're snap kits and stuff, but I glue them together because they're going to be permanent. And, you know, I do got lights in them, so you don't want no light leaks and everything. And I treated the Star Destroyer just like I do a bigger model. I did the light blocking and stuff and all that. And but with mainly fibers in there and stuff, you don't really have to worry other than the 2 LEDs. But I did do the light blocking mainly on something this small. I did the outside of it. After I got everything in there, I painted it all black, and then I shot it with a light gray primer, and then I misted some flat white over it to let the gray kind of show through and give it a little bit of a weather look and stuff. I didn't do no wash on there. Actually, the studio model, no matter what Star Destroyer you build, what scale it is, the studio model, from what I read on the internet when I was doing some research when I was building my bigger one, they really didn't weather up the Star Wars ships like they do some of them in Star Trek and that. So I didn't weather up my build and play my bigger one. That was 16 inches long and stuff, and with over 1,000 fiber optics in it and all that stuff. But I kind of like, you know, this one I can turn a little bit. You get the little effect of the engine flickering on the back and stuff. I didn't want to close in the sides because I wanted to be able to view it from, you know, if you want to view it from an angle or something, turn it that way and all that. But I do like the fact, you know, I went with the 9-volt, and you know, as soon as I hooked up the LED for that, and I got the little 1.8 millimeter up there to highlight the Death Star and all that, as soon as I hooked those two up to what was already running in there, those engines started to really get dim and everything. So I had to go to 9 volts, and something this small. Like I said, there's 4 LEDs there. There's one there. There's one up there, and then the flickering one down below. So that's 7 LEDs. That is a little bit of a drain, and I know other guys that run their stuff off of 9-volt batteries. Eventually, they might rebuild the model and run it on 12 volts. I prefer 12 volts on most of my models, but they've got a lot more lights in them and stuff. But I wasn't going to waste a 12-volt power supply and a power jack and everything. I mean, the ones I use for the smaller models that maybe got like 30, 40 LEDs in them, I use the power supplies I use from Lighthouse LED. They're like $6.50. The little power jack, the female that I mount in the base and everything, those are like $1.25. So it's not a lot of money to waste on something this small. But to me, I'd rather save them for a bigger model like the ones I got coming up and everything. So, but hope you guys like it. Hope you guys enjoyed seeing it and everything. Up on the top, I just did a little, I think that's like 5/8 square, square wood I pick up at Menards and all that. And I kind of wanted to do the canopy over, cover it, make, like I said, make like a little scene from a movie, or a little shadow box thing and stuff. And also that's just a little wood frame up there. There's no wood. This is just a foam core, everything holding up. It's pretty lightweight and everything. And that's so. And I just built a little wooden frame along the bottom and all that stuff. So that's pretty much about it. Nothing hard. I don't do craft fairs or nothing, but these are kind of actually nice little projects. It doesn't cost you a whole lot for these kits. The few LEDs that you use, even if you didn't do an enclosure like this and you just mounted them on a base, even if you just did the Star Destroyer, that's like you can pick them up for as cheap as like $6.50 in different different websites and stuff. Free shipping. You might have to wait a while because they come from Japan. You could usually find these in the States, but a lot of the other small kits you got to wait for them to ship them from Japan stuff. But you could do up just a little base with a Star Destroyer. Even if you don't light it, weather it up and stuff. It's like stuff you could sell at a craft fair. Your local craft fairs and stuff. That they do throughout the summer at different neighborhood festivals and things like that. Or even something like this. You might put a little bit more time in it, but this enclosure only took me a day. The model kits only took me maybe a day. Maybe you're looking at maybe say 3 days the most. Depending on how many hours a day you spend working on it. But this is something, maybe you could sell it for $50-$60, where people might think about, hey, that looked pretty cool on my office desk or on our mantle or in our man cave, or what do they go? What's the other word for it? Our TV room, with their big screen. That's our home theater room or something, different things like look cool like this and stuff. And you don't have to sell it for an arm and a leg, because it really doesn't cost a whole lot to make something. So now, before I go, all you guys out there got girlfriends, wives, stuff like that, I picked up this fiberfill because I got some other projects. I picked this up at Hobby Lobby. It's just plain old fiberfill like you use for pillows or cushions, stuffed animals, things like that. For all those with significant others on the back, you can get them involved in a hobby. They give you a pattern. I don't know if all the bags got the same pattern, but they give you a free pattern on the back, show you all the different pieces that you got to cut out of fabric and sew them together. Then you fill them with this, and it's called a tiny turtle. And it even tells you how many yards of fabric in this, and you need a 1/4 yard for the head, legs, and base, 1/8 of a yard for the shell, additional supplies, buttons, stuff like that for the eyes, different things like that. And it's a nice little thing. It's probably about 8 inches diameter and stuff. It would make a nice little throw toy for a dog, or a little pillow for the kids to play around with, or something like that, or stuffed animal type deal. But you get the gals involved in a hobby. That's pretty cool. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this model and little display diorama and stuff. And again, I'm getting a kick out of that little explosion thing that I did and stuff like that. So hope you guys all enjoyed this, and hope you guys like it. Again, I want to say thanks for subscribing. Thanks for leaving me all the nice comments that you guys do. Thanks to all my usual followers for sticking with me through the last few years and all that. And I keep up with you guys just as much. It's like, you know, you support me, I'll support you and stuff. And you got any questions? I know I left my email address in the description link a couple videos back, so you can backtrack a little bit, look it up, and if you want to contact me and ask me more, other than leaving something in the comments, feel free. If you want to exchange numbers, we'll go that route too. I do talk to quite a few people from the hobby that I've been following through the years. We got to the point where we become friendly and we exchange numbers. In fact, just Monday, myself and William up there at Space Dock Modeling, I've been following him for a couple of years now. He's been following me. We pretty much comment on each other's videos, just about every video we pop up and everything, and share a lot of tips. Sometimes share a little you know, products and stuff like that, but you know, between us and between others. And he advertises a lot of different things that he uses that's you know, not necessarily hobby supplies, but stuff you can use other than the expensive hobby supplies and stuff like that. And we finally got together the other night. I called him up and everything. He's out in California, I'm in Illinois. If you guys haven't subscribed to his channel, go subscribe to it. The guy, he's cool, he's down to earth, and he's very modest too. He does awesome work. You got to check out his enterprise. It's the Revell kit that you get, the Revell Germany kit that you get. He did an awesome job on the model, and the base turned out really awesome too. The way he lit up the base and everything. It all goes together. It looks like it was meant to be the way he did it and stuff. And but go check him out. And like I said, you know, follow him. He's a real good down to earth guy. If you got questions, he gets back to you with answers and stuff and all that stuff. And like I said, he's very modest. He's one of the better modelers I've seen on the videos on YouTube and stuff through the years and stuff. He does real super work. So he's a pretty cool guy. I'm glad we got to be friends and all that. And you know, I'm sure other people out there, you know, he doesn't mind being friends. You know, there's a lot of times like he emailed me this morning, and that I emailed him back later in the day. My fellow workers, none of them guys cared about my